So thank you for coming. Very excited to see you here. I've been a teacher for 40 years. So, and one thing that's kind of exciting about this conference is that, well, maybe it's not exciting, but one thing that's unique about the conference is that most people here are not teachers, but yet we're all talking about education. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. These are people who really care a lot about education, but they haven't ever been in the classroom. So I'm going to give you a perspective that you don't get from very many people, what it's like to be in the classroom. So why giving kids control will change the world. So I just want you to ask yourself, if the education system today gives kids control in the classroom, how many people think it gives kids control? None of you. Well, you're right. They have no control. Who sets the curriculum? They memorize tests. They don't even know what they're memorizing or why they're memorizing, but they memorize it anyway, because if they don't memorize it, guess what happens? You get an F. And then who gets mad? The teacher, the parents, everybody. So they memorize. So it's a bit of a problem, in my opinion, here. So let's see if this will work. So let me tell you who I am, so you understand. I was the 2002 California Teacher of the Year. I'm the founder of Palo Alto High School Media Arts Program, and that program is the #1 media arts program in the country. There's about 800 kids taking journalism, learning how to write. Why only in Palo Alto do kids want to learn to write? What happened in the rest of the country? Like, why? Well, maybe it's one thing, kids don't want to write because they only get one shot at writing it correctly, and then they get a grade. So they're always afraid that they're going to get a bad grade, so they don't want to learn. So what did I do? You don't get a grade until you get an A. You revise until you get an A, so there's no grade pressure. I'll tell you, it works like a charm. So, third thing I should say, I'm the co-founder of the Journalistic Learning Initiative at the University of Oregon. And University of Oregon, the communications department is one of the biggest in the school. And this Journalistic Learning Initiative called JLI is now in every school in the state of Oregon and now moving to other schools. I'm also the former chair of Creative Commons. How many of you know what Creative Commons is? Like a few. Well, that's good. Well, hopefully all of you will know what Creative Commons is. It's the infrastructure behind the open web. It's the legal structure behind the open web and open education resources, so you guys should all know about it. So you can go online and maybe check it. So, I'm sorry I'm running the wrong direction. So, Admiral William McRaven, probably never even heard of him, but he was kind of important. He was U.S. Special Operations Commander when bin Laden was captured. It's a kind of important character. And he says, in the recent issue of Time magazine, came out on April 1st, what keeps you up at night? K-12 education. K-12 education. It's really a problem. So I just want to highlight that. You know, we aren't the only ones worried about it. So this is a book I wrote, and it is today in 31 languages around the world, international bestseller. And at the bookstore, they have 5 copies. So in case you want to buy some, there's 5 copies. Well, 4 more at the bookstore, let's put it this way, and here's 1. I'll be happy to sign it. And so they had like, I don't know, 100 of them last year, and they all sold out. So this is the cliff notes of what's in the book, just so you don't have to read it the whole time unless you don't want to. TRIC. TRIC stands for trust, respect, independence, collaboration, and kindness. And so that's what I say belongs in the classroom. It's so important. Kids need to feel trusted and respected. And I guess the question is, how many kids feel trusted and respected in the school system? No, not very many. I did a poll in my class, and most of the kids did not raise their hand when I said, what teachers trust and respect you? Which is kind of sad, because when an adult in the responsible position trusts and respects a student, what happens is that their self-esteem starts to go up. They're like, oh, this teacher respects me. I must be pretty good. And so we need to have more of that in the classroom, and giving kids independence, collaborating with them instead of telling them what to do all the time, and the most important one here, kindness. Ask the kids what they think about kindness in the schools. They'll, like, are the schools kind? You need to model kindness. You need to treat kids with kindness if in fact you want them to learn what kindness is. They can't read about it in a book. They have to feel it. And it's a very important thing. If we change parenting, it's going to change the world. So in this book, I talk about parenting and teaching in the schools. Those are the main important points. That's education for the next generation. Sorry, I put my thing down here. So the next part is Moonshot Pirates. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Moonshot Pirates, and I'm going to talk a little bit about a few other companies that I'm working with that are doing their best to help kids feel better about themselves. So this is a book that just came out last year, The Anxious Generation. You guys hear about it? Well, if you haven't, you should get it and read it. It's really important. So the huge number of kids today are either depressed or they have unbelievable anxiety. The number is over 50%. If you take all these numbers here and add them up, you'll see that huge numbers of kids are suffering from anxiety and depression. And so the question is why? Well, one of the answers is in the book, The Anxious Generation, and it relates to the fact that kids don't interact in person with each other. They interact on their phone with each other. And so when you have 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds that are doing that, it creates a lot of problems. And when they're on social media like Facebook or Snap or any of those social media programs, it creates problems for them. They don't learn to interact normally with people. I don't know how many of you have gone to a restaurant and see 3 or 4 teenagers sitting around a table and they're all on their phone. It's like, what about the people that are in front of you? Oh my God, what are you guys doing? Anyway, it's a problem. So I'm trying to address that issue, by the way. That's what I'm talking about. So these are programs that I personally work with that are trying to empower students to make them feel better about themselves. So the previous speaker here was talking about how adults don't feel good about themselves. They have no goals. They don't know what they're doing in the world. I mean, we don't want to have a whole generation of adults that feel bad about themselves, and we're headed that way because it's the anxious generation already. So first one here that I'm going to talk about is Knack, then WAJ Education and a company called Quasar, and then Moonshot Pirates. So this is Knack Tutoring, and their website is JoinKnack.com. And Knack.com, Knack Tutoring, the reason I like it is because it's peer-to-peer tutoring. So I went to Berkeley, and I was in classes that had 500 to 800 students. How's that? So then the lecture, he's done lecturing, right? And then you're like, oh, I don't really understand anything. And then the class is over, and the question is like, who do you go to? 500 kids in a class. And you know, it's UCLA is like that. All the big universities are like that. Even Stanford, for which you're paying $50,000 a year tuition, is still like that. So Knack has peer-to-peer tutoring that's free. And it's fun. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm supporting it. So you might want to look into knack.com or joinknack.com. This is another program that I'm working with. this is I launched it together with a big team in India in 2023, November of 2023. I'm working with a great company called Quasar. It's an engineering company, and the name of the program is WOJ Education. That's the whole thing, WOJ.education. There's no .com or anything. And the goal is to empower the next generation of technology professionals with real-world learning. And guess how we do it? It's peer-to-peer. It's project-based peer-to-peer learning. And people learn when they have projects. They don't learn when they sit through long lectures where they're lectured to. Sorry. Sorry to all the American universities that are doing that. So here's Moonshot Pirates. This is a group that I'm collaborating with, and they are based in Vienna, Austria. And it's a global movement of young change makers. This is the largest accelerator for students in the world. And the students, and you can actually join this. It's actually a very exciting program. I met these people in Munich last year, and they're doing great work. It's in 150 countries. So they have 10,000 young leaders, 10,000, 15,000 mentoring sessions that were enabled, and then 450 plus solutions, 5G solutions developed, 400 plus mentors and experts involved. So let me just tell you something important here. This is a launch pad for young founders. And here it is. You can be involved, your students can be involved, your friends can be involved, we can all be involved. There's going to be a challenge May 10th to June 19th this year, and you can easily get involved. I'm going to show you like a code that you can just, here you go, get involved. So with this code, you can get involved, and kids get prizes, they get to be accelerators, get to be in this accelerator, and the thing that is really particularly important is they get recognized and they feel good about themselves. They work in teams. No one's telling them what to do. Climate solutions, wouldn't you say climate is our biggest problem? If we continue to have bad climate, what difference does it make about anything else? You know, I live in Northern California in Palo Alto, and I can tell you that we were inside like all summer because of the fires that were burning and the smoke was all over the place. So, and then I don't know if you've gone to Delhi recently. Anybody go to Delhi recently? Oh my God, you can't even breathe in Delhi. I mean, it's terrible. We need to solve the climate issues. So young people can do it. You know, they have innovative ideas if they believe in themselves. That's what I'm trying to do, help them believe in themselves. So you can connect with me. You can connect with Annetta Londa, and Marco Londa. They're the partners I have in Austria. And, you know, easily, if you don't personally want to get involved in it, you can give it to your local school district. You can give it to your friends. You can give it to kids that you know. But it's great. So these are action steps that you can take, as opposed to some of the things that I've heard where you just sit there and nod and say yes and then leave and don't do anything. I'm hoping you'll do something, take some action, you know, talk to some other people, let them empower the kids around us. And we've got a lot of kids, and if they have a passion project, they won't be depressed. So that's the end today. So thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer questions. Thank you. I have 1 minute for questions. How's that? Well, I don't know if there's anybody else after me. Yeah. All you have to do is give them the code. Just give that code to the school district and say that their teachers can get involved. The students have to pay for it. No, it's free. It's all free. I forgot to mention that. It doesn't cost anything. Yeah. And actually, the program in India has a small fee, just a small fee, and the reason it has a small fee is, as chair of Creative Commons, I realize that people value something they pay for. And so even if they pay $20, they're going to value it. If they pay nothing, they won't even show up. So that's why, yes. And yes.
I'm working for state of Bihar in India.
Uh-huh.
And we are bringing some resources, but the bigger problem comes is like they don't have their laptop, they don't have the smartphones. How do they?
Well, we provide those.
Oh, you do?
We provide laptops in India. Yes. I mean, you can't work without a laptop. How are you supposed to do it, you know? Yes, it's...
I'd love to bring it to the whole state of Bihar.
Well, we'll talk about that when I'm done here. Yes, that sounds great. Anybody else? Questions, comments, whatever? Okay, they said I have to stop talking. So, yeah.